Welcome back to Leftovers.
Welcome.
Leftovers has become a weekly thing at this point because season 3 may never come.
Season 3 will come, but it's probably going to come in the beginning of 2022.
Actually, at this point, I have no idea when this episode will release, and so maybe season 3 has already come by the time this Leftovers goes out. Who knows? So I may have said that for nothing, but
maybe
we're recording way ahead of time here.
How many? I mean, yeah, to be honest, we're getting a pool of episodes so that we can be structured. We have 2 episodes so far of season 3, correct?
Yes. At this point.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff, and I think we might have a 3rd episode next week, and then...
And if you want to hear those episodes, I can send you early access to season 3 if you sign up to be a Patreon.
If this is...
Yeah, if you really want to... If you really want to support the show.
Cool.
You can do that. There's a link in the show notes.
What's today's question?
Today's question is, for Leftovers, no prep, no notes, should we really go to church every Sunday?
That would be so boring.
I mean, do we really think that we're supposed to be in church every single Sunday? I mean, what if the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing in London and I really want to watch the game? Or what if I'm just tired? It's been a long week. I'm tired. I mean, is God really going to be upset at me if I miss a Sunday?
Yeah. What about like legit? What about those churches that have Wednesday night church?
Wednesday night church. I grew up
Sunday night church.
I grew up. You had Sunday school, Sunday morning service, then communion service. That was all Sunday morning, and then Sunday evening service, and then Tuesday night midweek service, and then Wednesday night youth group to go to, and sometimes Bible studies in between.
Golly goober.
Wow,
that's a boring life,
right? I mean, people say this all the time, but legit. I was in that church every time the doors were open. Yeah. I mean, it was like if the doors were open, we were there, and they were open a lot.
So, a couple of different questions to answer. Is it a sin if you are not at the church every single time the doors are open? I think that we can start there by confidently saying no. No. So, all of our jokes aside, no. It's every single time the church has an event or a service or whatever it may be, it's not a sin.
Right.
To miss one of those things.
Right.
Right? What about not making church, though, a priority in your life?
Yeah, that's really the heart of the question. So we're asking it in a way that grabs attention. Do I really have to go to church every week? But the heart of the question is, should church really be a priority? I mean, are there times that it's okay to get into a season of life where you're not really going to church? Because, and a common one today is the kids have sports. They travel a lot for their sports, or I travel a lot for work. Now, that is a complicated one. I mean, what if my job pulls me away from church and my job requires me to work on Sundays? We can get into a lot of nuance here. But we just really want to get into the heart of the question. Should gathering with the church be a priority in my life? Should it be a regular thing in my life? Like when I am able, I'm there type thing.
Yeah, and that the job situation requires wisdom, right? I was night shift, law enforcement, and every other Sunday I was not able to go to church for a season. But did I go to church every single time that I had the opportunity to go?
Yeah.
On the Sundays that I did not work?
Right.
Yeah. Could have I worked off-duty, they called? Could have I worked an off-duty job where I made more money working some sort of security detail somewhere? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could have did that. But at the end of the day, when you are a Christian, you have to make a decision.
Yep.
To prioritize church, and you have to actually even make sacrifices. And that word sacrifice, we all understand what it means with the connotation, but think about what the legit word means.
Yep.
It means you're killing something. It means something is literally burning, or you're losing something. Maybe it's not an animal or a person, sadly, back in the day, but people would even sacrifice material items. You were losing something in order to gain something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would make an argument that sacrificing, you're supposed to feel it. It does hurt. And we would even argue that if you are a professing Christian and if you are not prioritizing church, and that would be a sin. We would argue that you are in sin, and our text and verse would be in the book of Hebrews where it says, do not forsake the gathering. What do you think that means, to not forsake the gathering?
Don't, just like you just said, don't place other things over valuing the gathering of the saints. Don't neglect it. Don't treat it as trivial. Don't forsake the gathering. Don't put other things in the place of gathering with God's people for the purpose of encouraging one another and worshiping Christ together. I mean, this is a tough conversation for some, because some people have structured their lives in such a way that they have no room for church. Yeah. And you may be listening to this and saying, look, by the time Sunday comes around, my life has been so full and so busy, I have no energy left. I need a day that I can just
Sunday fun day,
relax and have fun and be with my family. And sometimes I have time for church, and I'm going to be there if I have time. But that's the problem. If your mindset is, if I have time, you have not prioritized church at that point. Right. If your mindset is, when I'm able to, you have not prioritized church.
How about after what you just said? That's sad, but it's true.
Yeah.
After I rested.
Yeah.
You're thinking wrong.
Yeah.
Your mind is not even properly functioning from a biblical standpoint. That if you think that anything apart from biblical church, from the Word of God, from the proclamation of the gospel from the pulpit, from the church, from fellowship, is rest, then you're missing the point. You're gonna be exhausted.
What about but I just want to rest on my couch and watch church online because my church streams their service, and so what about that? We're in the age where the day and age.
You're saving time. I like it.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. So what about online church? Does that count?
Yeah, we talked about this. You can go listen to one of our previous leftover episodes where we talked about what exactly was the topic about church? We just did.
I'm blanking. I don't know what you're referring to
today,
right now.
We did one today, this morning, about church. We just did one about church.
Oh, is church for the believer or the unbeliever?
Oh, yeah. Who is church for? Go back and listen to the leftover episode on who is church for. The Greek word is ecclesia, and it means the gathering,
right? The
assembling of believers.
But I'm assembling online.
No, you're not. You're not. That's just not what the original word means. It doesn't make any sense. So once again, you go back to authorial intent.
They couldn't mean that because they didn't have technology.
No, it's what they meant.
I'm playing technology. I'm playing devil's advocate. Wow, we've been doing too many episodes this morning. I can't speak.
Yeah, so if you go back to the original author's intent and what the word even meant was just the gathering of believers. You can't have a gathering of believers from the authorial intent online. You have to actually be gathering in person. You can't have physical fellowship, which is what the church is about. You can't have fellowship and intimate oneness with one another without actually being together. Yep. And you know, we really have to point out there's two wrong ways of thinking here. We're really pointing out to people of, hey, life is just way too busy right now. There's way too much going on. I don't have time for church. But we're also talking about the group of people who are very legalistic about going to church.
Yes.
Right? Yep. The people who are legalistic about going to church and like, look at my perfect attendance.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I am a good Christian because I am there every time the doors open.
Going to church does not make you a Christian.
Going to church doesn't make you a Christian either.
Right.
Yeah, that's just absolutely false thinking. You're missing the point of church if you're forsaking it, if you're not going. And you're missing the point of church if you're just going.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the point is doing. We're going to flesh this out here. Tell me, what do you think about this? The church is about doing life together. Yeah. It's about being a family. It's about actual gathering and fellowship around the Lord Jesus Christ, the proclamation of His Word, from the preaching of the Bible, and through holding each other accountable in the sacraments, right?
Yeah, I've said this before. You cannot fulfill. People ask me, sometimes if the only text that I have to tell people to go to church is Hebrews 10. Don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. No, because you cannot fulfill the one another's of Scripture apart from being gathered with the church, and the one another's being love one another, bear one another's burdens, encourage one another all the more as long as the day is drawing near. You cannot, and you can go on and on and on and on with the one another's. You can't fulfill those if you're not gathering with the church. It's just not possible. And so the Bible is full of, the New Testament is full of, I believe, encouragements, commands to gather with one another, to be together as the church.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some practical things near the end of this episode. What about people who legitimately are going to come and say, like, let's just be real for a second. My kids are in sports, or I have a job that requires me to work every single Sunday, and I can't go to church. I just can't do these things. What real practical advice and counsel would we give to a group of people who are really struggling through this, right? And they're really thinking through these things.
There's got to be nuance here in this conversation. And those two situations are different from each other in my mind. So my kids play sports versus my job that I need, requires me to work every Sunday. Let me ask this question to begin to answer that. What does your soul need more? And you can apply that to both of those questions.
You can.
And what do your kids' souls need more? Do they need sports more, or do they need Christ and His people more? For you and your job, what does your soul need more? Now, I'm not here saying immediately if you got a job that requires you to work every Sunday, quit your job.
Right.
There may be a situation where your church doesn't gather on Sunday morning. Maybe your church gathers on Sunday night or Saturday night, or there's options there too. I mean, there's nuance here.
Yeah.
But ask yourself the question, what does my soul need more? And do I trust Christ enough that if He has commanded me to gather with His people, that when I obey His commands, He will take care of my needs? I mean, this goes back to Jesus' words. Don't be anxious about tomorrow, what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear. Don't worry about those things. Seek the kingdom first and His righteousness, and all these things that you're concerned about, all these necessary things that you're concerned about will be added unto you.
Yeah, they're important things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kenny and I are we're in one step with each other on this. Don't go quit your job right now.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yeah. And don't go be like, I got to go pull all the kids off of every sport.
Yeah.
We're done. We're not saying that.
Right.
But should there be, should there be situations where you pull your kids out?
Yeah.
On Sunday?
There absolutely could be
are.
And should be.
Yeah. And we would argue, are there situations where, I would say that if you are working a job where you're a believer and you absolutely you cannot go to church, I would say that there are very strong situations where you should leave your job.
Yeah.
You should find another job. And that goes back to the sacrifice conversation.
Yep.
I think of truck drivers. Like there are believing, born again Christian truck drivers.
Right.
But I just don't think these jobs are for everybody. For believers, because there's a drought going on in your soul. There's a famine going on, and we just need to talk through these things.
Yeah.
And you need to talk through these things and get counsel from your local pastor, whoever is shepherding your soul. Right.
Yep.
If you don't have one, well, that's an issue.
Yep.
That's the point of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good place to just kind of begin to wrap up. we're not here to be legalistic. We think that's the legalistic side of this, I mean, as Travis said, it's wrong to think it's about your church attendance, but it's also wrong to think that it doesn't matter whether or not you gather with the church.
Right.
What's the heart here? What does your soul need more? That's the question I keep going back to. And I've got people tell me all the time as a pastor, I want more community in my life. I want more spiritual guidance. I want more of all these things. And a lot of times those people telling me that are not gathering with God's people on Sunday.
Right.
And it sounds trivial to say, but a lot of times you kind of go, okay, but are you going to church on Sunday? That almost sounds legalistic and old school and all that, but really, are you feeding your soul? Are you seeking to be with God's people and be around His people or not? And to worship Him together with your brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Agreed, man. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, cool. That has been another edition of Leftovers. I think this is the last one we're going to record today, but we got a few that are pumping out, and Season 3 is coming soon. As soon as we have a firm date on that, we will let you know, and Season 3 might already be launched when this episode goes out. Who knows? I may be just talking into the air right now.
We literally are.
We're really organized around here is the truth of the matter. So thanks for listening. Until next time, this is Kenny and
Travis.
Peace out.
Bye.